Thank you for joining Conversations for College Success. And we have an opportunity to finish this last portion as it relates with Zaynab. And she had applied to several graduate schools. So we're going to talk to her about what had her decide to apply to so many, which is a good idea, by the way, and then how she made the decision to select which graduate school she was going to attend. So let's start with, by chance, had you talked to your mentors before you decided what schools you were going to apply to? And did they, by chance, have any influence?
So I did not consult my mentors or advisors for choosing which schools to apply to. I applied based on what the programs were. I'm interested in public health, so I know that these schools have good public health programs. And in the public health programs, there are several um, routes I could take in terms of my interests. So I applied with the general idea that these are good public health schools. Um, I had my reach schools and then I have my safety schools, and that was the basis for the schools that I chose to apply to.
Now, define reach versus safety. What does that mean so my audience has an idea?
So reach schools are schools that you believe you will not get into, but there's a chance that you could. And then the safety schools are schools that you're confident that you would get into or have a higher chance of getting into.
All right, very good. So now you've applied to 7. I think you shared with me you heard from 5. Now, the 2 you didn't hear from, were they reach schools or were they safety school?
Those two were reach schools. So
Okay.
Yale University and Northwestern University were they're very selective and very competitive schools, but I thought I should try at least because they do have very good programs.
Absolutely, and it's their loss.
I know, right?
It is their loss. All right, so let's talk about the other 5 that you did hear from. Maybe briefly why you applied to them, and then the process you used to decide who you would like to go to.
Yeah, so I applied to Case Western, Johns Hopkins, Emory, Cornell, and then Duke. Case Western was my safety school. I go to Case Western, so I'm very familiar with the department that I would have been in and the program, like the courses and the instructors and everything. So that was like, in terms of ease and feasibility, that was like number one. Johns Hopkins, I know it has a really good public health school, top public health school. But the program itself made me a little bit skeptical, like nervous in terms of how I would transition to medical school. So I didn't choose that one. Emory, I know that it has a really good medical school as well and public health school. It's located in near the headquarters of CDC. So I would have opportunities to do like very competitive internships there, gain experience in the concentration that I'm interested in, which is health policy and management. And then Cornell University, again, really nice public health school, really nice medical school attached to it. But the program itself, they didn't have like as much resources as I would have liked in terms of helping me get to a point of being or the concentration that I was interested in. They didn't have enough as compared to like Duke University, which is what I ended up choosing. They have a really strong like health policy program. Like it's like a separate institute and they're the only school that has that. So I was able to like, there's so many programs within that institute that I could apply to and get like really competitive experience with, which is why I ended up choosing Duke University.
Wow, that's a lot, I tell you. Now, by chance, have you had a chance to visit the school yet, or will you?
So I did visit Duke University. They had an admitted students day. They sponsored the entire trip, which is
Oh,
also kind of why I
nice.
said yes, because
Yes.
they seem to be very supportive of having their students come out and get a chance to meet the faculty, meet existing students, and even students that have already graduated. They had a panel with previous students who were already like in the field working, like all across, like consulting to project manager, just across the board. And then we got the chance to meet professors who answered questions regarding their own programs and like how courses and the curriculum is set up. And then existing students and some of their projects and what they're working on. So it was a really nice experience. And it was nice to see who I'm going to be in class with. And they were very like reaffirming in terms of like opportunities, like for any interest. Like forget about mine. Like if you were interested in like women's health, there's that. Like any focus area, they have it.
So now with the, I'll call them returning alum, were you able to make any contacts or connections there?
With returning alum,
So that when you get there, you'll have a chance to talk to alum if you would like to.
yes, I 100%. Like they're very connected with their student alumni, and apparently, like they come in very often
Oh,
and
great.
get to share with students. They're also accessible. Like they have their alumni network, which I, as a student, would have access to.
Oh, that's fabulous. Oh my gosh, that is fabulous. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I think this will be a phenomenal experience. Now, will you have an opportunity to work while you're there as well?
I would have the opportunity to work during the program, not full time, of course. They cap our hours to 10. And the program itself, they expect us to be engaged in some paid research opportunity over the course of our experience. And the research could be anything with any department. Ideally, you focus and you're not just hopping around, but also like during summer that we have, we're expected to do an internship. And that internship could be something external or it could be a continuation of whatever research that we're doing, which is really nice.
It is. Oh my gosh. Now, is this a 2-year program?
This is a 2-year program.
You think you'll finish in 2 years? I mean, it sounds like a lot of work.
Well, this is very interesting. The first semester and the second semester are 11 credits. Um, but then, like your third and fourth, so your last year, it's electives. So you have 3 electives plus a capstone.
Oh,
So
wow.
in those electives, you could take in any department across the school. Ideally, you're still in the same department, so you can like have a concentration. But you can like take classes in the business school if you want to take an art class. Like they're totally open to that as long as you're meeting the
Other
credit
requirements, right?
requirements. Yeah. But definitely finishing your capstone project, whatever that is.
Now, you make that determination, right, as to what your capstone is? Okay.
Yeah.
You haven't thought that far ahead, have you?
I tried, but I don't want to put myself in a box.
No, I agree. I was going to say, I would want you to have that experience first and then
Yeah.
decide what direction. And there's, gosh, there's so many that you can go in.
It's overwhelming. It's like too
Well,
many routes that I could take.
well, I think you're going to follow your heart. And as long as you do that, whatever you choose will work. I wouldn't even be surprised if you didn't do two, but that's okay. I'm not throwing that out there. Just do the one and do the best you can. And then I really think that wherever you decide to go for your medical degree, you'll be accepted with no problems. I actually hope you come back to Cleveland, but
I might.
do whatever you think is best because I want you to have the best experience that you can possibly have. So make sure that whatever hospitals you choose, it works. But I think, isn't it the Mayo Clinic? Is it in Chicago that's
I
one?
believe it's Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin? Okay. Because I know there's a number one, and Cleveland Clinic usually comes in at number two. That's why.
Number one might be Harvard, their medical center,
Okay.
which is in Massachusetts, I believe.
Okay. I used to know. I didn't. Knowing that Cleveland Clinic is number two is good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's fine. Now, by chance, do you have any final comments before we wrap this up?
I think, especially for your master's, at least in my experience, I think choosing a location that suits your like preferences. Like I personally would not prefer the cold, snowy semester, -15. So I'm choosing a location that I believe that like the climate would serve me because I really I get seasonal depression. I don't like it. Sunshine is what I'm looking forward to and not wearing a winter coat and boots.
Well, that's important. You need to put yourself in the best possible environment so you can continue to be successful. And it's funny, I got both my undergraduate and graduate at Cleveland State University, and most people go to a separate college for their graduate degree. I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because it allowed me to take less classes.
That's true.
that's
That is true.
that's what I was looking at. What works for me? How does this work? And it worked out rather well. Now I can honestly say because I wasn't necessarily at a named school, I didn't always get the opportunities, but I was fine.
It worked for
Cleveland's
you.
home,
Yeah.
but I did go to California
It's exciting.
on my own after I graduated. It was an interesting experience. That's a topic for another time. But I will say that if you've never left your state, then you should go away at least once because it allows you to become completely independent of everything, where you don't realize how dependent you are on people until you leave the state. And now there's no one you can call.
And it forces you to establish community and like genuine
Exactly.
relationships.
Exactly. And you grow up so fast. So for those listening, if you haven't, you need to have that experience. But the other thing it does, it helps you appreciate smaller cities because in California, all 6 lanes were traffic on a freeway or on a highway. And that was an interesting experience. Like, so I said, when do you break down? Like, you can't, because if you do, you're stopping a lane of traffic. So, but then when you come back home and people complain about 1 hour of traffic, you just start laughing. Like, go live somewhere else where it's hours plural and not one individual hour.
I went to Chicago recently for the first time and totally underestimated the traffic. I mean, we were in traffic for almost 2 hours to get to the airport. In Cleveland, it's like 25 minutes. Like, there's no traffic on the highway, really. That's slowing you down to that much. The traffic was still, and we were like moving 2 feet every 10 minutes. Like, it was very new to me.
So the positive about that is it does give you an appreciation that every community, state, etc., we don't operate the same way. There's far more cars on the road. There's far more time to take to do certain things. The positive is you get an opportunity to meet different people, see how they live, see how different community or organization or area um, connects, communicates, those kinds of things. So that I do definitely support that when students have a chance that they do that. And because I'll tell you, visiting is not the same thing as living there. I can tell you that.
Of course, yeah.
So those become important. So I want to thank Zaynab for taking the time to talk with us
Thank
so
you.
that my listeners can learn all kinds of things about not only undergrad, but grad, but also the things you need to do to be successful, which I think is always important for people to learn and know. And then a challenge for my listeners if you're considering going to graduate school, think about how many you want to apply to. I like the idea of the reach schools, as well as what are the criteria you want to use to apply and what are the criteria you want to use to choose. I hope you're going to share some of that information with me. You can share it on Conversations for College Success at hotmail.com. Again, Conversations for College Success at hotmail.com, or feel free to share it on the podcast medium that you're listening to. Thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.